Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. Guys, today is Tuesday, and I hope you're still feeling like getting after all of your goals and aspirations and visions. And if you don't, then do something about it. The beautiful thing about human beings, we're not animals. We can actually analyze the results, the feelings we get in life, and then we can change to adjust that. And so if you don't feel like you'd like to feel, then change something about it. And this podcast is all about helping you to learn how to adjust your food. That very important thing that we all do every single day. We all eat, and it's not optional as long as you're a human being to not eat food. So you gotta master that to master your state and to start living more of life that you wanna live. And a lot of life in life has to do with how you feel. Guys, my name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, nutrition coach, health coach, productivity coach. I help people to learn how to, in a simple way, use nutrition as a tool to feel, look, and do everything better. Nutrition is very, very powerful. Guys, these days, I'm often asked question, what is your motivation for healthy eating and fitness? Why are you so almost religiously obsessed with it? Although it might seem like that to a lot of people, but I'm not religiously obsessed. I just like feeling really, really good. So for me right now, I'm in the exact physical shape that I like to be. I feel very comfortable in my body. It feels really good and fit and energized, and I don't have any pains, any conditions that I'm aware of. And so my goal is not to fix something. When it comes to my healthy eating, when it comes to my fitness habits that I do on a daily basis. My goal is to every day wake up feeling like I'm on fire. Sometimes my clients joke with me when I ask them about their sleep. They're like, well, I slept pretty well, not like I jumped out of the bed and, woohoo, the day has begun. Let me do something. So sometimes clients joke with me so that they don't wake up like that. But believe it or not, I kind of do wake up like that. Right now, it's a little bit past 5 a.m. and I am recording this podcast, and you can hear the enthusiasm in my voice. And all of that has to do with my consistent health habits. And what I'm working on every day, what I'm optimizing for, is that feeling in the morning that this is a beautiful day. I feel amazing. I want to get up and do something with it, create some magic, something that hasn't been there before. I want to wake up like that every morning, and believe it or not, this has a lot to do with how you take care of your physical body. Of course, your mental side matters a lot too, but also believe it or not, your mental side, the thoughts you have, the emotions you have on a consistent basis, they have a lot to do with how your physical body feels. Even such a mind-blowing thing as trillions of bacteria in our gut, depending on what you eat and what kind of bacteria you have there and how you treat your good bacteria and not so good bacteria, they produce different chemicals that a lot of those reach our brain and, of course, a lot of other tissues in our body besides all the nutrition that we get from our gut, right? A lot of those chemical messages, they actually reach our brain and change the way we feel, we think, and what we do. So those trillions of bacteria, by the way, we have more bacteria cells than our human cells. And it weighs, I think it's about 1.5 pounds here. No, 1.5 kilos or about 3 pounds. That's how much bacteria we have in our gut. Can you imagine, like 3 pounds of you, actually bacteria, not even you. So they do. And they like to be fed, and there are different colonies, and all of them want different things. So if you feed things, like bad things that are not that beneficial for you as a host, you're not going to be feeling that well, if you didn't know that. But anyhow, that all it's about that point that what you do with your food, with your lifestyle, that's going to affect a lot how you feel on a daily basis. And so when I'm asked, what are you optimizing for? What are you working on when it comes to your health and fitness? This is what I'm working on, to wake up every day feeling like I'm on fire and ready to record another podcast with that much of enthusiasm in my voice, right? And today I wanted to share with you what I personally do to feel that way. And a lot of this I learned it from other sources. I learned it from my own personal experience. I tried and tested a bunch of things, and I'm still trying and testing a bunch of things. Like right now, I'm testing digestive enzymes and how they affect my sleep and my energy levels and my digestion and my energy levels overall. And then after meals directly, right? So I'm always trying and testing to figure out how I can feel even better. So let me share with you what I found works for me. And a lot of the things in some form will work for you too. So I have a list in front of me that I made this morning, and let me share this with you. Sleep on time, a huge thing for me, guys. If my sleep is all over the place, and I also tried that, in my teen years, I actually used to be a professional dancer, and we had our team, and we would go to nightclubs and do like dance offs and dance battles, and just in general be in a club and helping people to dance, creating show as a team. So I did a lot of that, and I had nights that were all over the place. I also at that time was at school. And so on some nights I could do that, on some nights I couldn't, and so sometimes I would go to bed late, sometimes early. That really didn't work for me. When I was a teen and my early 20s, my mental and emotional health and my fitness, they were okay because I still ate quite healthy and I exercised, but like my energy, my mental, my emotional state, my physical fitness, they were not nowhere near where I am right now. Like, I'm just getting better in my 30s. These are my golden years. I have a feeling. Maybe my 40s also. Not sure. I'm not in my 40s yet. But guys, sleep on time. And what neuroscience, when science reports to us, is that has a lot to do with how you feel. The timing of your sleep, and specifically consistency of it, especially important to align it with your biorhythms, with your what they call chronotype, meaning if you're an early person, then probably it's best for you to figure out how to go to bed early. If you're a late kind of person, then probably it's good to figure out how to go to bed at your perfect time, right? That's the aspiration. Figure out your best time and sleep on that time. Every time you change your sleeping time by 2-3 hours, it's like giving yourself a mini jet lag. That's what I heard from leading neuroscientists, right? So all of your systems in your body are going to be a little bit misregulated and offset, and there is no chance you're going to be feeling your best. You can do a lot of other things to make yourself feel better, but it's not going to be your best, right? So sleep on time was a huge thing for me. Eating on time was also a huge thing for me, especially not eating later than 3 hours before bed. I usually prefer to have a bigger dinner, and so I do need those 3 hours. Obviously, if you eat an apple an hour before bed, might not be such a big deal. But if you have a big dinner, it's got to be somewhere around 3 hours. That's also what scientists, gut health, gut microbiome research report to us, and also sleep researchers. Sleep of your quality changes depending on when you eat your last meal. And also it is much better, it seems, from Neuroscience, the science of timing when it comes to human biology. It also seems that people who eat during daylight time do much better on a lot of health biomarkers. It's easier for them to maintain a certain body weight and good blood glucose profile, and a lot of other health biomarkers improve when we eat on time and we eat early, no later than like 3 hours before bed, ideally when it's still bright outside. Obviously, if you live like I used to live in Siberia or in UK, you're probably not going to see a lot of light in the day during winter, and so that probably not going to happen all that much, although some people do adjust their timing based on how much light is outside. And so the purpose of what I was saying is timing of food matters. And since I started eating on the same time, a lot of things improved a lot. Like my energy levels, my mood got so consistent. It's a little bit tricky even for myself. Then the third one, not overeating, even on healthy stuff, like respecting my digestive system capacity to digest certain amount of food at any mealtime, at any meal, really helped me a lot. Because when we overeat, not only our digestion becomes inefficient, there are a lot of things and compounds that are either ferment or somehow they're not being digested properly and they float in our bloodstream or in our gut, potentially creating more inflammation, potentially creating compounds that can trigger our immune system. Also, we feel sluggish, and our sleep might not be as well if it was late night dinner. So for many reasons, I don't overeat anymore. It just doesn't work for me. Even if it's healthy stuff, if it's too much. So when my stomach says to me, that's enough, you're full, that's when I stop. And when you eat whole foods, like a lot of veg and protein, things like lentils and beans, you naturally get full where your needs are met. Like when you feel full eating whole foods, it means that you probably had enough of everything. Now with processed foods, it gets tricky. You can overeat on calories, on sugars, on fats when you eat processed foods and still not feeling full. And that's why eating whole foods is so beneficial for your health and weight maintenance, because you get full usually exactly when you need to stop eating and you had enough. Although some people that I worked with having troubles maintaining weight, losing weight more often than not, they need to start forcing themselves to overeat a little bit to get back to health. But that's another point, for me, not overeating. Really, really important, even on a healthy stuff again. Timing of coffee, very important. I'm very coffee sensitive. I did not do any genetic testing, but I do not need any genetic testing. I drink coffee even, I'd say 6 hours before bed. I'm not going to be sleeping well for sure. I eat dark chocolate too close to my bedtime. Yeah, I'm not going to be sleeping well. I'm very sensitive to all kinds of stimulants. That's why all of them are in the morning. So timing of coffee is huge for me. Let's keep moving. Bright light and viewing light in general. I just yesterday listened to the newest episode of Huberman Lab podcast, and he is one of the leading neuroscientists and very interested in circadian biology. So he invited one of the experts who did a lot of studies on circadian biology in humans. To cut the long story short, they were talking about bright light and how when we see bright light, not just blue light, any bright light at night, it actually shuts down the production of melatonin, one hormone that is crucial for helping us to fall asleep and stay asleep. So if you are around bright light in your environment, overhead light, and it's really bright where you are, that it means that your sleep quality is going to be compromised. It's going to be harder for you to fall asleep and stay asleep, and you're probably not going to sleep as deep and as well. And so my parents, when I'm staying with them, make fun of me because when it starts getting dark outside, I walk around the house, and if I see bright light anywhere, I turn it off, and instead I switch on side lights that are more orange and much more dim, right? So my parents always make fun of me, but actually now that they experimented with that, not looking at bright lights and screens, and they started to sleep better, now they don't make fun of me, they do the same exact thing, right? So try it. If you're having troubles falling asleep, avoid bright lights after it gets dark outside, or at least 3 hours before bed. So dim the light. It's preferable to not have overhead lights, but instead have some sort of lights that are on the side, maybe even on the floor, and that are more orange and red in their light, and that are also not bright, not like super bright. In my apartment, when I choose an apartment, light is one of the most important things. I'm like, the place gotta have a lot of daylight, so a lot of windows, especially where I work, where I spend most of my time. My bedroom, not so much, but where I work, yeah, I need a lot of daylight. And then the second thing, there has to be some light solution, so at night I could make it really not bright, really dim, and especially I like to have orange and red lights for the night time. So if you come into my house after, let's say, 6 p.m., you're gonna see that these orange lights, and it's not bright, and that's how I like to keep it. When I brush my teeth also before bed, and when I take a shower, there's either no light or candlelight for that reason also. And again, did magic for my sleep, still does. And if I have bright lights around me at night, like I have to, I don't know, go do some shopping, and shops all bright lit, or I have to be at some event, I will have troubles falling asleep. I will be turning and tossing in my bed for an hour before I can fall asleep. And my usual routine is I go to bed, I hit the pillow, and I'm asleep. That's it. That's how it happens when I don't look at, I'm not around any bright lights. So bright lights are very important, managing of them, seeing a lot of daylight during the day, especially first thing in the morning, seeing those wavelengths of sunrise light, spending time outside during the day. It's amazing for my productivity, but also it helps me to sleep really well at night. And not seeing bright light is also a very important aspect of that. And then what's the purpose of all of that light hygiene, as I like to call it? It allows me to sleep really, really well, fall asleep really, really fast. And when I wake up at freaking 4 a.m. in the morning, I'm like, it's morning and I'm ready to go. Right. Right now I'm single, but for me, for example, yeah, the other part gotta be okay with me being like that or 4:30 a.m. in the morning. And anyhow, guys, so that was about bright light and managing my light environment. That is a huge for me, and believe me, it's huge for you too. You just, a lot of times, most people don't know how to use light for your benefit. Regular exercise. For me, exercise is kind of like eating or brushing my teeth. It is not optional. My mental state highly depends on exercise activities and a lot of movement. If I don't move and I don't exercise, I gradually become a very cranky, not happy person. I'm not snapping at people because I usually manage myself really well at this point, but I do feel like there are more thoughts that are a little bit on a negative side. When I exercise, no such thing. Especially after more workouts, I'm like the happiest, most peaceful person on earth. There is nothing that can trigger me or whatsoever. And I'm a very passionate person. So for me, it's important to have passion, but also have managed passion. And exercise helps me with that. And exercise, guys, there are books written on it and still being written how it affects our physical and mental health. And so many factors are affected by our exercise patterns and movement. And so for me, regular exercise is important. And I do, on average, 45 minutes a day of exercise. Sometimes it's cardio, sometimes it's weight training, sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's dancing and core and ballet workouts. So it depends. Depends on how I feel. I do weight training at least a couple of times per week. I do really intense cardio session at least once per week, and then there is a combination of different things. Sometimes more cardio, sometimes more weights, sometimes more yoga. Depends also on how I feel, obviously a day of the month for as a woman, and also how much workload I have. So that will regulate my exercise practice. So when it comes to work, when I feel like I'm very busy and in some form rushed, or just there is a lot of stuff going on, then my exercise program going to be much milder. I'm probably going to opt out for something like yoga or weight training that is not as intense. So exercise, very important for me, for my well-being, not so much for keeping my six-pack or having cute butt or anything like that. No, it helps me to feel good mentally and emotionally and physically, and it helps me to sleep better, I think so, although I never missed that many workouts that's going to affect my sleep, but that's what also scientists say, that exercise does help with sleep. So exercise, very important in my life, and not for, again, physique, kind of aesthetic purposes. It's more for my mental and physical health. Not eating foods that don't work for me. This is also very huge, guys. People ask me, do you cheat? Do you eat treats like, ice cream or cookies or a piece of pie? A lot of those things, the ingredients in them just don't work for me. I have a very sensitive gut, and so I don't eat those foods. Like, I don't remember when the last time I ate a piece of cake. I think it was a couple of years ago. But the reason being is I used to love a lot sweet things and cookies and pies and ice creams, and that's where my gut health was all over the place. That's where my mental health was all over the place, and so I do not eat those things. Well, first of all, now my body and my brain, they're like, it's a waste of chewing time. There are no nutrition. They don't even taste that good. You taste some sweetness for like 5 seconds, and then you have a ton of, guilt. For me, that happens. Usually, well, not so much actually now, but it used to happen. If you overeat those things, for most people that would happen. But in my brain, I love nutritious foods that are also so delicious so much that I don't feel like having treats. But the point is, they also don't work for my gut. Every time I have those foods, my gut feels like, that feeling like you ate something that wasn't right. And for that reason, I also don't eat those foods, and gluten, and a lot of foods with weird ingredients and combinations, like all this dessert stuff. It just makes me feel a little bit more bloated. There is something going to be on my skin. My energy also going to be not really there. My sleep is going to be compromised. So for that reason, I do not eat a lot of things. And I also notice that grains, no matter how whole they are, just don't work for me. And so are nightshades. If you know what it is, good. Not, then don't bother. Just for example, things like regular potatoes do not work for me also. I have actually slight fever, I think. Yeah, my gut really doesn't like them. The next one is not being hungry and eating my carbs, guys. For quite a while in my life, I was on low carb and keto, and now I do not really understand how I could do that, because now every time my carbs go low, really low, like for example, I don't have my beans or lentils or sweet potatoes at night, I'm not going to be sleeping well. And that is not good news for my state next day, for my productivity, for my emotional health, for my physical health. Not sleeping well is not good news. And so what I noticed, I need to eat normal amount of food. I can't be starving myself for one reason or the other, and know that there is a reason at this point for me. I cannot, again, go on some restrictive diet. And again, for healthy, fit people, I don't think that really is an ideal to deplete the body of main energy source. But that's just, my opinion right now. But what I notice is, I need to eat my carbohydrates from whole foods. I do not eat processed carbohydrates, any pasta, bread, but that doesn't work for my gut or for my energy levels. And so I need to eat my carbs. I can't be starving myself for sure. That's why I would probably never again consider any kind of physique competition where I need to be eating less on a consistent basis to get to a certain body fat percentage. My sleep is just too freaking important to me, and my emotional well-being. So eating well, feeding myself well, eating my carbohydrates, not restricting things that like fruit that I absolutely love, not restricting things like beans and lentils that I absolutely love. Also, having a balanced diet, that is a very important thing for me. That's why I probably am a nutritionist and so obsessed with food science and learning more about our foods and food systems and how they affect our health and fitness and mental and emotional well-being. So I think that's it, guys. I think I've been talking for quite a long already. And let me just recap what works for me so you could also look into those protocols, because a lot of these protocols are quite universal. You just need to tweak them a little bit for you, for your lifestyle, for your body, for your genetics, and I can actually help with that. So if you need a little bit of help with that, please reach out, especially on Instagram. That's my to-go platform to interact with me. So reach out. I can recommend to you some tests to figure out your thing better, some genetic tests or your blood work done with a great company that can analyze your blood better and give you more practical advice based on that, right? I can recommend you gut testing. So if you need to figure out your thing based on science, please do reach out. I'll give you quite a few resources. But other than that, what worked for me? Sleeping on time, eating on time, not overeating. Let's continue with eating. Not eating foods that don't work for my gut and also make me feel sluggish and low on energy. So, knowing your allergies and sensitivities, it's a really huge thing for your energy levels and mental state. Not being hungry for one reason or the other, and eating my carbs, especially for dinner, not eating later than 3 hours before bed. Timing of my coffee is very important to me, as other stimulative substances like dark chocolate, bright light, and managing my light is very important for my state. Regular exercise. And that's about it, guys. Those are, I probably would add meditation that I do 3 times per day. I work a lot mentally. I study a lot all the time. I work with my clients. My brain capacity to do its best work is very important. And one of the key ingredients of brain productivity is giving your brain proper breaks. And so meditation, or also non-sleep depressed protocols like yoga nidra, they are actually quite essential for the work, for the productive output of our brain. So you cannot just switch on your brain and expect it to work for 8-10 hours. You need to give your brain breaks. And meditation or a certain kind of naps or non-sleep depressed protocol, they work well to restore your brain productivity compared to things like spending time on social media or watching TV. They do not work as well at all. Just a side advice, right? And if you need a little bit more advice on naps and breaks for a productive brain, please also reach out. I did a lot of research in that area. But other than that, these are the things that keep me going. These are the things that you need to look into also, like the time of quality of your sleep, or your time of eating, or the timing of stimulative substances, or your light hygiene, foods you are allergic or sensitive to, eating certain foods and not eating certain foods. That all gonna affect you too, just in a slightly different or a lot different way than they do affect me. So do the research, and that's how you get closer to functioning and feeling your optimal, your best self. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing when you do share, and please do share. Please do experiment, test a lot of protocols. There is a way for you to feel better. So if you aren't feeling better right now, change something, test things, reach out for advice so you test better things, and the whole process of self-optimization goes faster. Reach out, and guys, till next time, as usual, eat better daily.